Microsoft and Sony partner up, and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey Gadgeteer, you're just in time for the latest episode of the world's only 3-in-1 show on tech, gadgets, and gaming news. That's right, this is the latest in tech news. My name is Taylor American. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss out on the latest episode, and hold off on that like button until you get to a section of the show that you actually like. Now, currently I'm enjoying this nice summer weather here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the studios are headquartered. And I gotta say, man, this is great. You know, I got the windows open. You guys are missing out. I mean, if you don't spend any time outside, please do. This is not sponsored, by the way, for some outdoor ad. Just please spend some time outside this summer. So, speaking of which, our feature story is spending time outside. Well, okay, not really. Our feature story is about Microsoft and Sony forging a partnership for gaming and cloud services. More information on that and the ties to E3 potentially that's coming up weeks down the road. We'll also be taking a look at Verizon CEO saying that tens of thousands of people are buying 5G phones. We'll also be looking at Instagram killing Direct, its standalone Snapchat clone app, in the next several weeks. We'll also be looking at the third fatal Tesla autopilot crash, renews questions about the system. I do have some information I want to get to about that, so I'll hold off until then to make any comments. And then we'll be looking off in gadget news at Lenovo showing off its foldable Razr with the fan render. I do gotta say, the fan render did a great job of it. If the phone actually comes out looking like this, it might just renew hopes for foldable phone again. And we'll also be looking at, in gaming news, well, the Epic Games mega sale. Let's just say Steam, eat your heart out. And finally, we'll be looking at Rocket Arena, Nexon's new free-to-play shooter from ex-Halo developers. If I can learn how to talk, that would be great. But first, did you know that Microsoft's first major deal was with IBM for their new computer's operating system in 1980, which the company named PC-DOS? The deal was a whopping $50,000, and apparently I'm getting some text messaging going on. This is what I get for forgetting to turn off my phone. Kirk here. Also, did you know that in November 1985 saw the first release of Microsoft Windows, dubbed Windows 1.0? A 16-bit operating system that, well, we've come a long way since then. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's move on. All right, today in tech history, today is May 16th, 2019, and on this day in history in 1960, physicist Theodore Maiman creates the first laser light using a synthetic ruby crystal device. He was not the first to develop the theories behind lasers, nor the first to apply for patents, but he was the first to create an operating laser device. The light produced by this device was not a true beam as we think of most lasers today, but rather a pulse. Other researchers would create the first laser beam officially soon after. Also, on this day in 1938, Ivan Sutherland was the inventor and developer of MIT's Sketchpad, which launched the interactive computer graphics field. He was born on this day. Sketchpad's many innovations included a display file for screen refresh, recursively traversed hierarchical structure for modeling graphical objects, recursive methods for geometric transformations, and an object-oriented programming style. Let's just say he did a lot of work in terms of having better graphics on computers. In 1968, he co-founded Evans and Sutherland Computer Corp. And was vice president and chief scientist. He also served as chairman of the computer science department at Caltech from 1976 to 1980, and in 1980 he left Caltech to establish consulting firm Sutherland, Sproul and Associates. He also founded Advanced Technology Ventures, a venture capital firm. And now with that out of the way, let's head on to today's feature story. So for today's feature story, we'll be looking at Microsoft and Sony making nice and forging a partnership for gaming and cloud services. Now, if you guys are interested in the articles and the show notes that we'll be looking at today, head on over to technewsgadget.net/118 and be sure to leave a comment down below on what you think good, bad coming out of this partnership, but apparently something nobody expected is that Microsoft and Sony, behind Xbox One and PS4 respectively, deciding on a strategic partnership. You see, the two companies plan on sharing technology and information going forward and build upon shared infrastructures for some of their future initiatives. Nowhere in the announcement are Xbox or PlayStation named, but its wording implies that their partnership will specifically focus on consumer entertainment platforms like gaming, so I bet you the Xbox or PlayStation or both could be involved at some point. Specifically, the agreement says that the two will jointly develop future cloud solutions within Microsoft Azure. It also says that Sony will use Azure for its own game and content streaming services, including a push to build better tools for content creators. And you want to know the reason why they're doing this, right? It's because of Google's cloud gaming service that they could literally just say, hey, it's working now, flip a switch, and boom, it's available on all Cloud OS and every Chrome too. That's why they're kind of scared, because Microsoft looked at it and they went, shoot, we're not even done with Microsoft. I mean, the newest version of Internet Explorer. I mean, Edge. I mean, the browser stuff. Shut up, Chromium. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. So, like, hey, Sony, do you guys mind if you could come help? Because I don't know what we're supposed to do. And Sony, meanwhile, the whole entire time, was like, we don't want any relationships going with anybody. We want our exclusives and more people buying from us than anybody else. And then the consumer is just like, will you idiots knock it off and work together? I mean, I want to be able to play it on any device that I have, whether that be my smartphone, my console that I have, depending on whatever console I have, computer, Mac, tablet. Hello? Can I do that? Or is that too hard for you? Can you guys not work together? Be like buddy for just a little bit? So the two are also committing to work together on semiconductors and artificial intelligence. PlayStation itself came about through the integration of creativity and technology, said the president of Sony in the announcement. Our mission is to seamlessly evolve this platform as one that continues to deliver the best and most immersive entertainment experiences together with the cloud environment and ensures the best possible experience anytime, anywhere. I'm actually kind of glad that Microsoft and Sony are getting on this, because Google's been on it for a while and Microsoft's still trying to figure out what to do, and everybody else is like, oh, cloud gaming, that's the next big thing. We should probably try to figure out what it's doing. Well, good thing that you're getting on bandwagon now before you decide to fall off it, like you do with all your other projects, to certain varying degrees of success. Especially when it comes to an article that I was talking about recently. I forget which one, but it almost implied in that article that was too little too late. And if you wanted to, oh, I know what it was. Xbox coming out with the all digital Xbox, and everybody's like, yeah, we have most of that on our consoles anyway. Like, we just have it for the bigger hard drive space. We rarely put any discs in unless we're watching a Blu-ray. Hello? Anyways, for many years, Microsoft has been a key business partner for us, though of course the two companies have also been competing in some areas. I believe that our joint development of future cloud solutions will contribute greatly to the advancement of interactive content. Finishing the quote by the Sony president. Sony has always been a leader in both entertainment and technology, and the collaboration we announced today builds on this history of innovation, added Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. Our partnership brings the power of Azure and Azure AI to Sony to deliver new gaming and entertainment experiences for customers. And then they followed it up with a couple of tweets. So everybody was all excited about all that. Now, the partnership has only just been announced, so any results from it could take a while to manifest. The mention of Microsoft's cloud solutions in gaming comes just as Microsoft is planning its own streaming platform, xCloud. It's unclear how this could impact PlayStation's streaming platform, PlayStation Now. Now, keep in mind, E3 2019 is merely weeks away, so it's unclear if this strategic partnership will be discussed. However, we do know that Microsoft is planning to, quote, go big at this event, while Sony has opted out of the show altogether. So, what do you guys think about this partnership? Good, bad, otherwise, let me know down in the comments section or on social media, Facebook, Twitter, however you're happening to consume this content. We're on all the socials, so feel free to connect with us. I think you heard most of my thoughts throughout this entire rant, mini rant that I did throughout reading the article on and off. Finally, I'm going to wrap up by saying finally something good happens. I mean, if only we could get Nintendo on board and we could have this great trifecta of awesome going on, and then we can actually have cooperative agreements between the three of them, and we can finally get some cross-play thing going on sorted out between all three of them, and we won't have to be dealing with this exclusive and we can't do this and we can do this, when it's clear the market is changing. And you want to know what would happen if you did something like this? Everybody would win, not just the customer. The businesses would win. Although keep in mind, if you're providing a service as a business and the customer counts it as a win, or gaming as a service, and the customer counts it as a win, that's good for you as a business. Keep doing that, because that means the customer put value in you and will continue to spend money with you. So put 2 and 2 together. Oh, and you got a peanut butter jelly sandwich. How about that? That works great. So, and I just memed the whole thing up. Catch me outside. How about that? Okay, I gotta quit. Let's move on to the next story. All right, so moving on. The Verizon CEO is apparently quoted as saying tens of thousands of customers are buying the new 5G phones. And obviously he would say something like this because a couple other phone companies are coming out with their own 5G announcements and 5G phones this week, as a matter of fact. So obviously he would get on the bandwagon there. Verizon is betting that customers will pay up for Samsung's new 5G smartphone, even though the price point is still high and technology's infrastructure is still being built up. It's a great experience, Verizon CEO Hans Vestberg said in an interview with CNBC's Closing Bell today. I believe that there's going to be people talking about it. We're seeing tens of thousands of customers taking it already, and today is the first day you can actually buy it. The Samsung Galaxy S10 5G is the first device that supports Verizon's new 5G network out of the box. It follows the Motorola Z3, which also runs on 5G, but only if you buy an additional $200 accessory. Don't flip out, just buy the Samsung Galaxy accessory that enables it. Verizon is selling a $1,300 version of the Galaxy S10 5G, as well as a $1,400 model with twice the storage. However, the nation's 5G network is still being built out. Verizon's 5G network is currently available only in Chicago and Minneapolis, but it is expected to be available in 20 U.S. cities by the end of the year. Now, guys, remember, we've talked about this before. All this big 5G hype going on, realistically looking at it, unless you live in Chicago and Minneapolis or a couple other really big metropolitan areas where you would want the 5G and save milliseconds of time on a faster, cleaner, less used, populated network, go right ahead. But if you live in the rest of America like the rest of us do, I don't live in these big metropolitan areas, just hold off. There's really no reason you need to upgrade your phone just yet. I guarantee you that when it gets to the point where it rolls out to a greater portion of the country, then you can consider opting for a new phone. Probably by that time, the iPhone will be out. Who knows? Maybe they'll just play their cards right and land right on top of it and make a whole bunch of money. Plus, probably phones will be along far enough technology-wise that we'll actually have some better versions of phones running on 5G. It'll be more solid, more accessible, easier to use, and it won't be switching between 5G and 4G. So keep that in mind. Verizon said that the 5G experience is so very different from 4G because it can get over 1.3 gigabyte per second on the network, a much faster rate than 4G. When asked what kind of market share gain he hopes to get from releasing 5G phones, Vestberg said in classic terms, let's see how it plays out. However, he said that the company has high ambition. We have the best network and we want to be the first with the technology. The company plans to ultimately offer 4 phones with 5G this year, and 3/4 of the phones it is launching next year will have 5G. The ecosystem is ramping up extremely fast, mainly because all these companies, AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile, are fighting with each other for it. So their 5G networks for phones are coming out later this year for the 3 companies I just mentioned. So give it some time. Let the market sort itself out. Unless you want to be the early adopter and jump on it, go right ahead. Let us know what you think down in the comments. If you have 5G, how does it compare to your other phones? Does it work faster, slower? I'm always interested in hearing your guys' thoughts. So the comment section is open. Let's hear what you have to say. Moving on to some more news, Instagram is killing Direct. For those of you who don't know what it was its standalone Snapchat clone app. It's killing it in the next several weeks. So as Facebook pushes ahead with its strategy to consolidate more of the back end of its various apps onto a single platform, it's also doing a little simplifying and housekeeping. In the coming month, it will shut down Direct, the standalone Instagram direct messaging app that it was testing to rival Snapchat on iOS and Android. Instead, Facebook and its Instagram team will channel all developments and activity into the direct messaging feature of the main Instagram app. To which you probably said, well, duh, maybe they should have done it, to begin with, and should have just kept it within the app itself. To which I say, right, I agree. We first saw a message about the app closing down by way of a tweet from Direct user Matt Navarra. In the coming month, we will no longer be supporting the Direct app, Instagram Notes in the app itself. Your conversations will automatically move over to Instagram. Don't really need to do anything. The details were then confirmed to TechCrunch by Instagram itself. We're rolling back the test of the standalone Direct app. We're focused on continuing to make Instagram Direct the best place for fun conversations with your friends. So by that, they're meaning just do it in a direct messaging portion of Instagram already. From what we understand, Instagram will continue developing direct features. They just won't live in a standalone app. Tests and rollouts of new features that we've reported on before, including encryption and direct messaging, the ability to watch videos with other people, and a web version of the direct messaging feature. Instagram didn't give any reasons for the decisions, but in many ways the writing was on the wall with this one. The app first appeared in December of 2017 when Instagram confirmed it had rolled out in a select number of markets: Uruguay, Chile, Turkey, Italy, Portugal, and Israel as a test. And it's not clear how many markets ultimately have access to the app, although Instagram did expand it to more. But with Instagram doing very little to actively promote the app or its expansion to more markets, Direct never really found the traction it had hoped. The only countries that may hit the anti-app rankings for Direct are Uruguay for Android, where it was most recently at number 55 among social networking apps, and Portugal on iOS, where it was number 24 among social apps, and a paltry 448 overall. Sensor Tower tells us that the app had crossed 1.3 million installs worldwide on the App Store and Google Play. The largest percentage of that seems to have come from Turkey, which accounted for about 42%, and the second largest test market was Italy at 500,000 installs. Now, keep in mind, the Direct app hasn't been updated on iOS since the end of December, although the Android was updated as recently as the end of April. At the time of its original launch as a test, however, Direct looked like an interesting move from Instagram, but obviously they probably didn't get the test results that they wanted, or they'd figured out what they wanted to learn from it, and then just said, okay, we'll shut down and we'll just boot it right back into Instagram. So there you go. If you didn't have it, probably not missing much, and if you did, you're really not missing much. It's kind of like Google Plus, where Google was all like, hey guys, we're gonna rival Facebook and we're gonna do something new called Google Plus. It's like the newest social networking program, and you can do like these Google Hangouts and chats and cool stuff and all that. And then later on down the line, we're going to integrate YouTube into it, and we're just going to mess up the whole back end out of all of it. And then we're going to sit there and go, why isn't anybody using Google Plus? And then we're going to go, oh, and then just kill it off. So that's kind of what happened to this one, although probably more so because you're probably sitting there going, well, I didn't know that there's an app called Direct. Right, so you're probably not going to miss it, but if you are, I wanted to let you know, and this isn't mainly for the people listening in the US. If you were in those select markets that I had mentioned, listening in those countries, Portugal, Turkey, or elsewhere, I guess it'll be missed a little bit more, but you can just keep in mind, you can do all those features on Direct inside Instagram itself. So there you go. Moving on to some, tech news / gadget news. Apparently, the third fatal Tesla autopilot crash renews questions about the system. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit of this article, and then I'm going to get into a little bit of a rant. So, excuse me while I try to get my head screwed on right. Okay, we're good. Tesla's autopilot system was engaged during a fatal March 1st crash of a 2018 Model 3 in Delray Beach, Florida, in at least the third fatal U.S. crash reported involving a driver assistance system, said the NTSB on Thursday. The crash renews questions about the driver assistance system's ability to detect hazards and has sparked concerns about the safety of systems that can perform driving tasks for extended stretches of time with little or no human intervention, but which cannot completely replace human drivers. I agree. That's why the technology needs to get better. We need to be able to test this out. And I think also along with that, maybe we need to get better with marking the streets properly with the correct signals so that the technology can work. Anyways, the NTSB's preliminary report said that the driver engaged autopilot about 10 seconds before crashing into a semi-trailer, and the system did not detect the driver's hands on the wheel for fewer than 8 seconds before the crash. The crash sheared off the roof as the Tesla traveled under the semi-trailer. Obviously, the driver probably didn't survive. The vehicle was traveling about 68 miles per hour on a highway with 55 mile per hour speed limit, and neither the system nor the driver made any evasive maneuvers. Tesla said in a statement that after the driver engaged the system, he immediately removed his hands from the wheel. Autopilot had not been used at any other time during that drive. The company added that Tesla drivers have logged more than 1 billion miles with autopilot engaged. Keep this in mind. Our data shows that when used properly by an attentive driver, I love how they kept this in their statement, who is prepared to take control at all times, drivers supported by autopilot are safer than those operating without assistance. Now, it's not to say that the individual wasn't an attentive driver or prepared to take control or aware of it. Situations surrounding that is this situation here that we are unclear about and may remain unclear about because obviously some details we just don't know about. While some Tesla drivers say they are able to avoid holding the steering wheel for extended periods of time using autopilot, Tesla advises drivers to keep their hands on the wheel and pay attention while using the system. It's not like it's stupid. David Friedman, former acting NHTSA administrator, said the incident raises serious questions about the system and the lack of restrictions on its use. Either autopilot can't see the broadside of an 18-wheeler or it can't react safely to it, said Friedman. The system can't dependably navigate common road situations on its own and fails to keep the driver engaged exactly when needed most. I could almost imagine him like puffing out his shirt while he's saying it. He said Tesla must restrict autopilot to conditions where it can be used safely and install a far more effective system to verify driver engagement. The HTSA is also investigating the Delray Beach situation and said Thursday it is carefully evaluating all available data and will share any findings upon conclusion of its investigation. Here's a really funny thing. With these Tesla autopilot systems, there's actually a lot more information being logged than ever has been logged or ever will be logged on any conventional automobile. Keep in mind that in May 2016, a Tesla Model S driver was also killed in Florida while autopilot was engaged when he slammed into a tractor trailer as well, and a fatal crash in Mountain View, California in March 2018 involving a Model X in autopilot mode. Tesla said vehicle's logs showed the driver had received warnings to put his hands on the wheel, but no action was taken by the driver ahead of the crash. That incident is still being investigated. So, yeah. This, that, and the other thing, they're investigating this, they're investigating that. And here's what I have to say about all of this. Yes, I understand there's problems, but if you're going to say, compared to 1 billion miles of data recorded, only 3 fatal incidents happened, accident-wise, with the autopilot system engaged. Keep in mind, every single one of them was a different situation. One situation, like this most recent one, the system just didn't see the semi-trailer that it was pulling up to. And the other one, it did, and it gave warnings, but they didn't do anything about it. In all cases, to some extent, it can be chalked up to user error, but keep in mind, if they're trying to use this as some sort of reason to say we can't use this autopilot feature or we can't have self-driving cars, it's a really stupid, lame argument. Why? Let me just say that drunk drivers kill more individuals and walk away unscathed with nary a charge being slapped on their record, nor any further action taken by any authorities beyond, oh, just slap a DUI on your record. And yet, we have this critical point of view on autopilot vehicles, of which we've only logged 3 fatal incidents, and apparently it renews serious questions about the system. Are you stupid? How about let's take drunk drivers out of the system, and then compare it to that, and then go, oh yeah, I guess cars are safer. Here's one, let me share this. Here's my thoughts on this, and I do plan on writing an article about this. It's like 1 out of 2 very controversial subjects or stances I'm probably going to take on this whole entire thing. My stance on this whole entire thing is You know what? I'm actually at the point where I'm pretty comfortable in saying, you know what? I'm looking forward to the day where cars drive on autopilot and humans don't drive anymore, because humans are unreliable and cause far more accidents and fatal crashes. Speaking of which, I'm hearing a car squealing its tires right outside my window. Than a computer ever would. Keep in mind, we only have 3, and if you're to compare all fatal accidents involving humans within the past 3 or 4 years, and you look at it and you go, records would seem to show that if you have robots look at this, they'd say, logically, it looks like humans cause more accidents than cars do on autopilot by robots. Maybe you should let the robots drive more. I'm actually comfortable giving up the privilege of driving a car and me having the freedom of being able to control and drive the car. Granted, I'm not going to be completely without control, but I would rather have more smart driving cars on the roads than not, because more often than not, it comes up to user error and drivers being inattentive, drunk, high, or just shouldn't have a license, plain and simple. I mean, I live in a metropolitan area. I see people run red lights. I see people cutting other people off. You want to know what would take care of all of that problem? Autopilot cars that drive themselves. And it'll still get you there where you're going, albeit maybe a couple seconds later. But it'll be much safer. More people will live. That's my main argument. And I think it'll be better for the US, period, in general. Now, I think I've shared as much as I can at this point, because we still have a couple articles to get through. But what do you guys think? Good, bad, or otherwise? Let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to have a conversation about this. I'm still putting some thoughts together, but I do plan on coming out with an article in the near future on this whole entire subject. And I know by then people are going to be all up in arms, and it'll be a controversial subject, and people will be like, well, what do you have this to answer that? But I'd like to know your thoughts, what you guys think, good, bad, otherwise, in the comment section down below. Can't wait to hear what you think. Okay, moving on to some gadget news. Lenovo is showing off a foldable razor with a fan render of the video. Now, it's no secret that Motorola is working on a foldable phone. According to Cinetech, Lenovo shared a video with media today that shows a new razor-like phone in action. And Gadget has since learned that the video is an edited fan render Lenovo is using for a press demo, so it might not actually look like this, but I sure hope it looks darn close to, because this phone looks awesome and may finally renew this whole foldable fad that everybody was with smartphones maybe about a decade ago, with the Motorola Razr and the flip phones and all that. It looks smooth, it looks crisp. Matter of fact, we'll actually look at the video here. So what you're looking at right now is the video of it. Last month we saw the first leak images, and while you could see a hinge, the phone was displayed open. Now, in addition to demonstrating the phone's foldability, this video does a close-up on the hinges and teases the black, red, and blue color options. Unfolded, the phone matches the photos leaked last month, and the video aligns with Motorola's patent designs for a foldable phone. But the clip is only 33 seconds long, so it leaves plenty of room for questions. And if you're listening on a podcast saying, hey, I'm missing out on video, head on over to youtube.com/TechNewsGadget to watch that video. So, pretty impressive. We don't know when the device will launch or how much it'll cost, but according to the Wall Street Journal, it could be in a range of $1,500. It's about $500 less than a Galaxy Fold, and if Motorola can avoid major design flaws and a trap for nostalgia from the original Razr phone, it might have a few advantages over its competitors. Now, if you didn't want to watch the video and you want to read the article instead, we'll have that in the show notes for today's episode, so go ahead and tap on that article link and read to your heart's content. Keep in mind, we only have like a 33-second video here, so not really much to go on. But it actually looks pretty nice, and I hope they pull it off correctly. So, that's all I gotta say about that. Alright, moving on to some gaming news. The Epic Games Mega Sale is on. Yep, if you're listening to this right now and it's not decades into the future, this sale gives $10 off every game over $15, including pre-orders. So if you have Borderlands 3 in your wish list, if you pre-order it right now, you get $10 off. See, you already know Steam sales. Now meet Epic Games Mega Sales. The PC game storefront has kicked off its first big promotion with steep discounts on games starting today through June 13th. The sale has the usual set of savings up to 75% off depending on the title, but what makes it sort of weird and very exciting is this Epic discount, an extra $10 off any game that costs $14.99 or more, which Epic says it is covering from its own coffers. And, well, you can thank Fortnite money for that. So, for those of you wondering, my time at Porsche is usually $29.99 on the Epic Game Store, and we're just using this as an example. During the Epic Mega Sale, the price is nominally cut to $23.99. Now, because the discounted price is still above $14.99, it receives the $10 Epic discount, dropping the price to just $14. Hades, the new early access game from the developers of Bastion, is a paltry $6.99 with all discounts applied compared to its usual $20 price tag. Here's where it possibly gets too good. The $10 off for any game over $14.99 is part of the promotion that applies to pre-orders too. That means you could lock down your copy of Borderlands 3 right now for $50 instead of the standard $60 it will cost when it comes out in September. Or if you've been waiting to play Detroit Become Human on PC, you could pay $30 now instead of $40 when it arrives on Epic Game Store soonish. Or if you're interested in a John Wick Hex, which we covered last week, you could pick it up for $8 instead of $20 if you pre-order it during the mega sale. Now, this really isn't how video game sales are supposed to work. Kind of frightening, kind of exciting, and I think Steam's looking at it going, shoot, we should have done something like that. Well, we're trying to deal with this whole fallout because everybody's going to the Epic Game Store. I don't know what to do here. Guys, can you tell me, what's going on? Can I get in on some of this stuff? And Epic Games is like, no, you had your chance. No, if you can't do it properly, let's show you how it's done. I love it. The clash continues between Steam and Epic Games Store. Even if you don't want to drop any cash at all, you'll still see a benefit throughout the event. The Epic Games Store will offer up a new game for free every week instead of bi-weekly, starting with metatextual horror anthology Stories Untold, and you'll still have 2 weeks to claim them. Also, the name Epic Mega Sale is a nod to the company's old, so 90 games, Epic Mega Games. In case you guys didn't know, yeah, Epic Games has been around for quite a while. So, yeah, if you're interested, head on over to the Epic Games Store for more information. Don't worry, this wasn't sponsored by them. I just found this fascinating. And quite frankly, here's what I'm going to say on that whole Steam versus Epic Games Store. I'm actually very much considering purchasing games more on the Epic Games Store, just for the sake of being able to review them. So whatever Epic Games is doing good. Keep it up. And moving on to our last article of the day. I know that we're running over on time a little bit, but thanks to my rant on smart driving technology, sorry. The last article we have today is Rocket Arena is deathmatch without the death. Now, what if there's a competitive first-person arena-style shooter where no one died? Well, that's the question that inspired Rocket Arena, a new rockets-only shooter from Final Strike Games, a Bellevue, Washington-based developer founded by former members of Halo Studio 343 Industries and Nexon. Now, Rocket Arena takes the death out of deathmatch, removing the headshots and juicy gives of games like Quake 3 Arena and replacing them with kid-friendly Super Smash Bros. Style knockouts. It's a colorful 3-on-3 game populated by cute, upbeat characters dueling each other on a fantasy-inspired map. Much about Rocket Arena is vaguely reminiscent of something else. It looks like a chunky-styled Blizzard game. Its hero characters looked ripped from a DreamWorks animation movie, and its modes feel inspired by popular multiplayer games like Overwatch, Rocket League, and Super Smash Bros. Now, the author played some Rocket Arena earlier this week in advance of the game's beta launch on May 23rd. It's coming to Windows PC and Xbox One. A PlayStation 4 version is due later on, and Nexon had it playable with cross-platform play at their hands-on session. He was dropped into an island-style map along with a pair of partners where he battled three other players in a game of knockout. Like Smash Bros., the goal is to build up your opponent's KO meter by firing rockets into them, putting them in danger of a knockout, a finishing move that launches them high into the sky. Combat is waged with rockets, and each character has his or her own specific type of ammo. The ice-themed Kai launches charged bolts, while water-themed Amphora fires torpedo-style rockets, and Jungle Warrior Zell fires spheres. Characters have alternate fire weapons as well. So, most characters in Rocket Arena also have a movement-focused ability like dash, teleport, or grappling hook. In fact, the movement is key to survival, and Rocket Arena gives players the option to double jump, triple jump, and rocket jump to get around quickly. Other game modes focus on objectives that are not specific to knockouts, though they're still tactically important since the KO takes an opponent out of the game for a moment. A football-like mode called Rocket Ball tasks teams with scoring points by running or throwing a ball into their rocket's goal. Mega Rocket requires teams to capture points in the form of very large rockets. Both modes can become rather hectic as players fight to complete objectives while also hurling dozens of rockets around the battle zone. Keep in mind, objective-based. I love games that have this focus on them. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring it to your attention, I love games where you have objectives, you have to work as a team. While much about Rocket Arena can feel derivative, Final Strike Games is addressing an undeserved genre: kid-friendly shooters. Interested players can try out the free-to-play game starting next week through a closed beta. Sign up at Nexon's official site for a chance to play, and that would be rocketarena.nexon.net. And there is actually a trailer that goes along with this, but we're not going to be playing that because we're already over time. But it looks pretty epic. Now, I'm not... Why do I have to go and say that? This isn't an epic... Let's just say this is the apex of all kid-friendly shooters. Halo style. Blizzard, this will blow you away. It's just a fun game to play. And I figured you guys would get a kick out of it. I'm going to get myself in so much trouble. And with that, well, that's good news for you and bad news for me, because I'm probably going to get yelled at now. That wraps up this episode of The Latest in Tech News. Thanks for tuning in, guys. New episodes every weekday. The Latest in Tech News can be found on every major platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Overcast, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button and leaving a comment. Also, double check that you are subscribed so that you don't miss the latest news. I'm your host, Taylor American. Remember, for the latest in tech, gadget, and gaming news, visit TechNewsGadget.net. Pretty much, keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.